Hello traders and welcome to the Trading Fanatic channel. It's Iliya here, and in today's video we're gonna have a trading setups breakdown one. So I'm gonna break down all the trades that I took this week. I traded on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, and I also traded mainly EURUSD, but I also took some trades on GU. Although with lower risk, we're still gonna cover them. And yeah, the aim of this video is to, of course, provide you with an insight into how I trade. Hopefully you can learn something, and also to see how every single day is different. And of course, the weekly outlook and setups that I do every single Saturday. Of course, we have all of those beautiful breakdowns, all of those setups that we want to see. But of course, Monday opens and the story completely changes, right? And this is why I always, in my videos, I give you scenarios. Like, I don't tell you EURUSD is gonna go down. I usually provide you with a couple of scenarios, and of course then it is up to you and to your skill to really be able to adapt and flow with the market. So this video is gonna be focused on that. I'm gonna share my entries and everything, so I'm sure you are gonna learn a lot from it. So buckle up and let's get into the market and let's have a look what happened up until today. That is Thursday. Alright, I'm gonna get started with EURUSD, and first of all, just from the daily time frame to give you a little bit of an outlook, and of course we can even go to the week, because what we spoke about in the weekly outlook is that this market was overall bearish, right? We had this overall push to the downside. The market has pulled back perfectly above the 50%. I'm not sure why those candles look like this, they weren't like that. But yeah, we fulfilled pretty much the range and we had a beautiful rejection, right? So I really expected, because you usually know that I love trading from wicks, and I usually kind of know that the market fulfills from 25 to 50% of huge wicks like this. But this week, again, you can see we just opened, we had a very little pullback to the upside, and then since then we have been massively flushing to the downside. So definitely risk off perspective. The dollar is extremely strong, rising interest rates as well. We had new news as well, and the euro and also the pound, they just kept falling, right? Especially the euro. We can see even since the 31st of March, we had this bearish engulfing candle after actually pulling back above 50%. 1st of April, bearish, 4th, bearish, and probably even today we're gonna end up bearish. So definitely a lot of sellers are into this market right now. But what we also had is, if you remember, if you also check out the weekly outlook and setups, the last one, I was suspecting that we might also go higher. And then I told you, okay, we still have this daily level, and keep in mind that the daily is right now bullish. But again, a little tip, again, I'm starting with all the tips that you can of course start taking note of, is that the higher time frame is always going to prevail, right? So if you're having an uptrend on the daily, but the weekly is bearish, right, the market's usually gonna go bearish, right? If you have a bullish 4-hourly, but the daily is bearish, then usually the market is gonna go bearish as well, right? So anytime when you have like a market, let's say you're trading on the 4-hourly and you're having an uptrend, but then all of a sudden the market starts to drop, and then you're like, oh, what happened? We were in an uptrend and all of a sudden we're dropping. We'll check a higher time frame, right? Check a time frame to the upside, and you're gonna probably see this, right? So I'm just gonna straight jump onto the 4-hourly time frame, and I'm gonna start plotting my trades, which I have prepared right there with folders. So pretty much, again, as I told you, it was a little bit tricky because where we closed last week was right here, right? So we were kind of in the middle of nowhere. And what I really wanted to see is for the market to pull back into the upside so I can start taking shorts, right? But I was also aware that if we, for example, pull back lower, then we can also look for longs. And of course, I followed my plan. And what we also discussed is that we had a beautiful high right there, then also another one right here. And pretty much if we measure the move, this is 64 pips. So definitely it is just one candle, but it is valid as a pullback. And as you can see, this pullback was also 48 pips, so pretty valid. So we can also say that those two kind of structural zones right there, they were broken, and that the 4-hourly time frame turned bearish, right? So weekly bearish, remember, 4-hourly turns bearish, and then the next one, of course, is the daily is gonna turn bearish. But at that time, we did not know it. Okay, so I'm gonna drop to the 15-minute time frame, of course, and I'm gonna delete some price up until the end of the day. So Asian session was very nice, very kind of slow, and again, the Friday's price action, which I think, yeah, it was also NFP, was really messy. Right, so I was also perceiving these ones for flat highs. I was really looking forward to actually take them out and then to potentially reverse to the downside. But again, what I told you is that you always have to flow with the market, right? So what we had right there is an overall 15-minute uptrend, right? So we created this lower low, we started flipping to the upside, then the market consolidated during Asia. It was too bullish, but then you can see 8 o'clock, Frankfurt open, the market just massively impulses to the downside, right? And causes a flip from demand to supply, right? So right now we're turned bearish. Then of course I wasn't really quick to start selling because this could have easily been a manipulation for the market to start hitting higher. But then as you can see, as you start seeing sustained pressure to the downside, then you just have to follow price, right? If it goes bearish, well, you go with it. You don't drop like a zone there, maybe a zone on the left and start trying to long it as the market is pushing down, right? We can see that the momentum started kicking in. And of course, for some of you, the 1 minute might be noisy, but if you really understand, right, the hard time frames as well, if you have your hard time frame zones and narrative, I do think it's very nice to be using the 1 minute because you get a tight entry as well. Of course, your win rate might drop, but this is for another video. So again, you can see this is that initial break of structure. Then the market pulled back, right, very correctively, which is great because we have a massive pump and a very corrective push. And then, of course, I was looking to even short it from here. I think I was looking for a higher zone right there, but it did not reach. Then we continued breaking structure, right? Then for me, when I had those two zones and I wasn't sure from which one to take, so I just waited a little bit. But you can see again which structure, where is actually the last lower high before the structure break. Well, it's this one. So as you can see, the market beautifully pulls back, respects that last lower high, does not break above it, and then we continue lower. And after I saw this, I was like, yeah, we have to get in because the market is probably gonna rocket to the downside. And if you understand EU, there are situations that it tends to do this a lot. Right, first of all, it might throw a little bit of manipulation, then it just starts rolling like this, rolling, slowly, and then all of a sudden it just drops, right? This is a kind of a characteristic of EU, and we have exactly this right now, right? We had a little spike at first, then we just started dropping, and then you can see at the end it just expanded to the downside. So again, after the structure break, I of course determined where is my lower high. I wanted to take it from here as well, but I wasn't that fast. So then I saw a structure break and then I said, okay, if we actually return back to this zone, I'm gonna take it. So as we return with this bullish push, I took my trade from here. So I'm gonna share the MT4 stats. I was taking partials, so it's a bit too complex with the partials to like share all the stats. So I'm gonna give my best. But this is where the trade was taken from. Stop loss was above this major structure. Of course, we can place it right there. I took have like a chip up stop. But I'm not at this level right now, and I much prefer to be safe rather than sorry, right? Because we get a lot of those guys that are gonna share like a trade like this with a 1 pip or something. It doesn't really work, right? And again, the risk to reward that you're gonna see, maybe in the thumbnail or something, like this trade I closed for a 6.56, but I took a 50% at 4.3 hour. I took another 30% right there just in case demand fails. And then of course my final TP, which was like the remaining, 20% was taken down there. So this is not 6.56%, right? It's much lower than that, right? So pretty much when I took the trade, we had a little bit of a slow development to the downside, but it was perfectly fine because it was just generating kind of flat highs. We took out the flat highs, then we expanded lower, broke structure, lower high, lower low. So on this push to the downside, what I'm currently testing out is taking 50% at 4R because this secures me, like if you risk 1%, this secures you 2%. So your loss is covered and you also have room for 2 more losses. So maybe you can take note of this one. You can test it out for yourself. And then, of course, I was very happy that I took this trade because then I thought we were going to get stopped out. But no, the market just went back to retest the liquidity gap right there and actually provided another entry if you wish to scale in. And then we started to push lower. But I was also being aware that the market was kind of took out this major low, right? We had this very sharp rejection. I was like, this could have been like the low of the day and we might start heading higher. So again, guys, pay yourself. Right? So what I did in this case is I took 30%, like a smaller partial of 1 to 3 at this demand. Because at that point I was like, ooh, what happened? I was like, okay, this one might continue going higher. So I just want to bank some more, like get a good start of the week and then just continue with the day, right? But then of course the market did not even respect this demand, just dropped lower. And then at that point I knew that potentially this one is going to go for the high. So I let the position run, no more partials, pulled back, retested this zone, and then it dropped. So pretty much my target was that demand overall that we have right here, but I just took all of my profits somewhere right there. You're going to see the end closing is 118. So that one was again a 6.5, but in terms of percentage, it was much lower, right? Which is also another improvement point that I would like to make in my own trading, because again, let me do a disclaimer again. Such trades don't happen very often, right? If you're trading EU is most of the times ranging, right? And what I have found out from a lot of back testing and live trading as well is that a lot of the times, of course, depending on your stop loss, it's gonna move and it's gonna tap like 4R. And this is why I took a big partial with 4R, because if I can reach 4R and bank myself out of it, then I'm pretty much safe, right? And then of course, a lot of the times it goes to break even or a loss, right? So at a time I was taking 80% at 4R, but as my stop loss reduces right now and as the market starts to trend, there is a higher potential for more risk to reward, right? And for trending markets. Okay, so make sure to pay yourself, because again, right now, what I can say is, all right, I could have trailed my stop loss. And if I delete all of this price right now, like this trade is possibly like 1 to 100 or something, right? And somebody might have left the 0.01 and then show you a 1 to 100, right? Which is of course, this happens a lot. But yeah, enough of this. So then we got back into this zone right there, which was pretty much the lowest portion of the range. So this is where really the momentum kicked in. And I was like, okay, well, this is the last resort for longs. Also, it's the end of the day, but have a look at the 2 4-hourly candles that are coming into this zone. So shorts were immediately low probability, right? But of course, your guy waited, of course, for the setup. So we were very bearish at this point. You can see creating lower lows, lower highs. Then on this push higher, we kind of broke above, but we just wicked it, right? We just wicked the lower high, which again, it's very questionable if you would like to take body closes or wick closes as breaks of structure. I personally prefer bodies, right? Because they really signify a break. So if I actually had this as a very certain rule that I would like to see a body break on the 50-minute, I would have avoided this loss. But I had a very good win, so I thought, okay, let's try to hedge or maybe try to take a long. But unfortunately, it did not work out. As you can see, we first tapped into the zone. We created these kind of flat lows, which is great. I was also thinking to continue with the shorts, because this whole thing right there is a 50-minute supply. We had a higher high, then we had a lower low right there. So I was thinking to take a short from there. Then we have a break of structure, and I was really urging and really kind of my fingers were really itchy to take a short from right there, because the stop loss was really tight and I thought we were really gonna go for the lows right there. So that one could have been a nice 5R, but I did not take it because we are at a demand level, and I tried to start focusing on longs. We had this push that kind of caused the break of structure, not really significantly. You can see it's just with a wick even on the 1 minute consolidation. Then we have a sharp manipulation down. And so the main thing that made me take this trade is how we reacted from this zone, right? So we had a tap inside, reacted, we went lower, lower low, then we pushed very strongly to the upside right there to create a new high and break the structure on the left. So on the retest, I entered, right? So I entered right there, stop loss was below the major low. At first it gave a reaction, but as you can see, it failed to break the high and we just melted to the downside, right? So this was my Monday, this trade and that trade. And I'm not sure of percentages or anything. It really doesn't matter because we're here to learn. So yep, this is my Monday. So the market continues to drop lower. So let's actually plot in Tuesday, do a slight bit of a top-down outlook. So again, if you remember, my short was taken from there, and look where the market is right now, right? So of course, sometimes when you spot that the market is really clearly trending, then you can definitely go for it. So what my thought process was on this day was that, okay, cool. So we took out this low. So the market is definitely bearish. But then I found the zone right there on the 15 minutes, right? So I was kind of still expecting the longs, but I was also very short after seeing this momentum to the downside. So let's have a look on the 15 minute. What is happening? Let me remove some price like this. So a very nice range right there. So London session was not tradable for me, although there were some good setups. I overall had this range from the high to the low. Asian range, very nice. We started first with a manipulation of Asian low. If this push right there actually caused the break of that structure, I would have taken a long, but I didn't, because for me supply was too in control. But then demand took over, started pushing the price higher, so I did not spot any longs. And then the market stopped right there in the middle, probably just retesting this whole range right there on the left, and flushed. And I had members from my community smashing the shorts right there, then also smashing longs from right there. So definitely a lot of trades to be taken within this period right there, from there to here even, right? But what I did is I was just patient. So I saw that, okay, cool, we manipulated above, we pulled back above 50%. I'm bearish on the higher time frames, right? So I want to go short. And after I saw this 15-minute push, which was very beautiful, very strong push, I was like, okay, waiting for the retest and then striking, and of course, trying to target the week low, which was successful. We took it out very nicely. Then we went for a retest, provided another beautiful short opportunity, and then the market really expanded. So again, if you spot that the market is trending, then be more aggressive because you don't get those times very often. So there is London session was very sloppy. I just stepped aside, nothing very clear to be taken. Then we pushed into the highs. Some members took shorts from right there. Then we pulled back very nicely into the lows right there, back into this demand level. And we started changing the structure. We had a lower low right there. Then the market actually broke right there. I had a member take a trade from right there, which was absolutely phenomenal. So can keep a very tight stop loss on this one right there, riding it into the highs. And then of course we tap into supply, the market shifts again, so another short could have been taken from right there, stop loss above as well. So very nice trades right there. I wasn't trading at that time. This is the window when I don't trade. Another long right there that could have been taken, but again, as I told you, after this 15-minute push, I waited for the pullback, and yeah, so we had a higher high, consolidated, and then we broke. So this higher low was broken. So what was I doubting about this trade is that this high right there formed in a little bit of a flat matter, right? Usually I would like to see it more like a sharp formation right at the top, like a V shape. So yeah, I was a little bit worried that this one is going to go a little bit higher, but still I took my trade, right? So after the structure break, I tried to find a place where I can take a trade. For me, it was this one. We also had flat highs just before we tapped inside. So as it came in, I took it, and this one was a very nice stop loss, 2.2 pips. And again, as I told you, with partials, you always take partials, right? So my first partial was at 1 to 4 right there, second partial 1 to 5. So again, I immediately, if I risk 1%, this immediately gives me 4.5% if you do this sequence of 4 and 5 hour, right? And then of course the next target to decide. You can even you can leave it to the next low, right? Or you can just take it anywhere, right? I ended up taking it after this little zone right there was broken. So after we just crossed and we started tapping into the extremities right there of price, I just took it right there. You're gonna see the final TP. So this again was a 7.55, but again, only 20% was closed right there. The remaining was closed right here, because again, if you get a 4 or 5 hour, this is absolutely phenomenal risk rewards. I remember back in the days, I was looking for a 1 to 2, right? Was really forcing it with like a 40 pip stop or something. But right now it's very quick, so make sure to take it, right? I didn't take full profit right there. I left another one, hopefully for the markets continue dropping, reduced my stop loss way too much, so got stopped out right there as well. And then the market went back to my entry and again created, again, beautiful structure. Higher high, higher low, higher high, break of the higher low, a little bit of supply right there being introduced. So beautiful trade to be taken right there. And that one was a banger, right? So if you smash this one, congrats, because this one was just right. Yeah, you even don't have time to take partials of this one, because if you take it from there, maybe your stop loss goes like, yeah, let's say 3 pips. It just smashes, right? Until you take a 4 hour, you're already at 5, 6, and this one was huge, right? So that was my Tuesday, right? Continuations to the downside, very nice. And again, always it could have been better. There are always opportunities for you to take, but what you have to do is be satisfied with, of course, what you got, right? So if you can get the 4 hour, 5 hour, just bank it and run away, because this is what we want from trading. Just take our profits in our sessions on our pair and then just call it a day in order not to overtrade. But of course, some days or sometimes it is best to persist and to stay, because opportunities are not coming in like always, especially great opportunities like this. If you remember, like past weeks, past months, it was not that easy to nail nice setups. And right now, when it is, then you have to be there, right? So the next day, again, just looking at this massive selling pressure, I'm like, bro, this just continues to drop, right? So I want to drop with it further. I had my range like this. So this time on the fall, and I was looking for the market to pull back towards this zone, I remember. But of course, in very trending markets, again, another tip, 50% pullback is enough, right? So on that day, I decided, of course, to follow price, and it was not the best trade to take. we were very trending, very extended. We started the day with a massive push outside of the Asian range, right, which was manipulation on that day. But I attempted to do a continuation trade. So as we pushed, as we started to pull back right there around London Open, I thought we were going to continue going lower. So I started taking shorts, right, which is great. And then after this, because it was also FOMC day, and because I had 2 very good days, and I decided to just step aside for now, let the market develop, let FOMC like play out. You can see this big wick, but we had some great opportunities again. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, FOMO, bro, why you should be trading, right? Why stepping aside? But of course, let's have a look what I did. So there is my zone into the middle of the Asian range. And if you haven't watched my Asian session video for the Asian ranges and stuff, this is one of the things that I explained right there. So make sure to check it out. I'm going to leave a card right there. So yeah, pretty much as the market was pulling back, fulfilling 50%, I spotted this very sharp formation right there. So we had a run into the highs, a break of the last higher low, which was this one. Generated a little bit of liquidity right there. So as it taps inside right here, I took the trade and boom, this one just smacked me in the face very quickly. And then it went and still went further, and I'm like, okay, I'm still gonna remain short, right? So I wasn't really open for the longs on that day, because if I was open for the longs, if I perceived that this was manipulation early on, then of course it's easy to say right now that you can start taking longs from there, longs from there, longs from there, and really take a very nice long, right? But I wasn't in that mindset at that time, right? So what I was looking at is for the market to break below this zone, right? So we tapped inside, we started shifting, reacting, shifting again, pulling back again, trying to do something, but nope, we did not break below the structure. So I'm pretty happy that I did not take any shorts right there, because they could have been just smacked. But I was looking for them, but I was just looking for the market to really show me bearish sentiment. And as you can see, the market was just making higher lows, right? So this was my only trade for Wednesday, actually, just one loss. And then of course we had a couple of other trades. There was a member of my team taking this long right there into the highs, and then a very beautiful short after we tapped into 50% into a zone on the left. The market of course created a higher high, then shifted lower, then pulled back, and this was a beautiful short to be taken, running very nicely as well. And even if you kept it open during FOMC, you would still be fine and nailing a very good risk to reward all the way towards this low. No, actually, yeah, this low just got taken today. And as you can see, our entry is still valid. So again, the thing is, if you're running a trade, then leave your stop open, right? Enough with break evens and stuff. And the good thing is, again, another tip, the stuff that I do with the 50% partials with 4R at this exact moment, this is how I'm currently trading. It also covers for your loss. So even if you hit a stop loss, you're still in profit, right? So you're not really obliged to enter break even, to go break even, because you're still gonna be fine. And a lot of the times when you go break even, especially like on EU, is gonna retest your entry, because if you got your entry right on the 1 minute, usually your entry is gonna become another retest area, right? So be careful with the break evens and make sure to always get paid. Okay, so that is EU. And again, as you can see today, I didn't spot any opportunities today. I was of course still kind of short bias, but I was also thinking that we might attack the highs as well. So I was looking for a little bit of longs right there early on, but it was way too sloppy. Then we actually pulled back exactly to this level, and we started flushing without any kind of opportunity on the 1 minute. And guess what? We just took out the low. So pretty much the session is fulfilled right now. So this is the move that could have been caught, but I did not today, which is great. Okay. So that is EU, and potentially right now, keeping in mind that the weekly is bearish, the daily is bearish, the volatile is bearish, and everything is bearish, I definitely do think so. We're going to attack 108 right there. And then from there, we're going to really adapt and see what's going on. Then we can attack, of course, 106, 106.50. But that is a story for the next weekly outlook. Okay. Going to GU, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. So again, I'm not very good at GU. I'm learning from one of our best mentors, Mr. DW, in our community. And yeah, so let's check it out. Again, if you remember from the weekly outlook, we were overall bearish. So we had this push to the downside and we pulled back about 50%. So I was pretty bearish on this pair. And although you can see right there for quite some time, we have been chopping around, still on the lower time frames, there is always something to extract, right? So let me just plot in Monday's trade. And with GU, again, it loves to seek liquidity, like highs and lows, to do liquidity grabs, and then pretty much it moves. And of course, within our team, we have our amazing mentor that is a master of GU. So Definitely there is a lot to learn about that as well. But what I did on Monday is pretty much following the trend, right? So we started with a very nice push to the downside right there. Then we started to chop around. You can see that the Asian range was perfect, slightly trending, but overall kind of not a lot of movement. And again, with G, you can see that the first time it taps, reacts, and you can start shorting. Then it comes in again, reacts, then it goes again, and then it goes, right? So you can get a couple of stop losses before you actually nail the trade. But I was pretty patient waiting for this zone to tap. And as this zone tapped right there, we were deep above the Asian range. So that was very nice. And oh, come on, man. And if you actually have a look, ooh, there is the trade. Yep, so there is the first run into the highs. It looked like it breaks structure, so you can take a loss right there, then break structure again. You can take a loss right there if you're impatient. And then of course we reach the highest high. Demand was still in control, but as we tapped inside, you can see then we also created a shift of structure right there on the micro side. And of course, I'm not sure if I took my trade from here or from there. I'm not entirely sure, but both of those places are fine. Stop loss goes above. And again, you know what I told you, partial with 4R, which is right there. And then the rest of my position was taken at the Asian low, right? Which is 31.011. So hopefully the partial is going to show up. So this one was an 8.6R, right? On GU, it just moves mad, right? Just moves mad. And yeah, this was Monday. So pretty much I trade this only in London session, only if there is a setup. So this was Monday for me on GU. And again, as I told you, not gonna spend a lot of time. So let's go to Tuesday, which was exactly the same setup again, utilizing a lot of the previous daily highs and previous daily lows to act as potential liquidity points, because GU is always attracted to those areas. And this was an area that I was looking to short from. Again, this was the area from yesterday again, but as you can see, we just kissed it right at the bottom, and this actually formed the previous daily high. So what my idea is to take out this and to further retest this zone right deep inside, and then to potentially take it to the downside. But as you can see, 15 minute was going bullish, and I had members from the community actually taking along from there, which is amazing. So they took it from there. Then as you can see, it pulls back, it smashes below the lows. So unlike EU, right? So if this was EU, it would have held from this zone right there. It wouldn't have broken. As you can see, from the past trades, we had the short entry. I remember it was never taken. Although we retested 2 times around the zone, it was never taken. But GU, it loves to take. It loves to take your entry out, your stop loss, and then go. Right, so pretty much my idea was this one. This is why I took my my TP just around this zone right there, is because I was expecting for it to get taken out, right? But still, make sure to secure. And then you can see we went further. There was an inside bar, so maybe I covered in the weekly outlook. There was an inside bar on one of the biggest time frames. We took out the inside bar high, and then we took out the inside bar low. So this is GU, massive moves. And if we have a look how it developed on the 1 minute, again, there is the longs right there, slightly bit tricky, but still possible. And then of course, we have a massive run into the highs, a break of the last higher low. You wait for the retest, there it is, 4.4 pip stop loss, slightly bigger than EU. And yeah, so this one, I think I did not take a 4R on this one, because by the time my alerts started pinging, this one was already down there. So I just took it at 5R full TP, right? So there was even no partial on this one. So yeah, this one is my Tuesday. And then of course I didn't trade because I don't want to focus too much on 2 pairs. Again, for me, mastering 1 pair is all you need. But of course, sometimes diversifying is also a great idea. And then if I go to Wednesday, when I took 2 losses. So Wednesday actually took 3 losses, right? After some great wins Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday slapped me. And of course, this happens. But I wasn't really considering GU as I wanted to trade it, and I'm gonna tell you why. So again, massive selling pressure, and this one was a very huge low, right? And usually when GU takes out the low, it initiates a pullback, as does every pair, right? Because if you have an uptrend and you have a higher low, then usually technically you would expect the higher high to be taken. And what happens when you take a new higher high? Well, a lot of orders start kicking in, right? So you have a new higher high. There are people buying immediately above this level. There are people that maybe have a stop loss above this level. So a lot of orders are being exchanged at such highs, right? And this is why usually a pullback initiates. A new higher high, pullback initiates, right? And this is how pretty much the trend is created, right? So after we have this lower low, we can expect the lower high, right? But again, very similar trade that I did on EU, right? Just trying to follow the continuation, utilizing one of the Asian range profiles that I shared with you in my Asian session range video. First, we traded below the previous daily low, and then we traded below that major low, all right? So a lot of liquidity on the sell side has been taken. So we can definitely expect a move higher, but I did not suspect this. So we had this very nice push to the downside that broke structure. So on the retest, I started looking for a continuation, right? Because knowing that the market is bearish, I wanted to just jump with it, not go against it. And again, you can see we tapped inside, we broke structure. So I took my first trade from there, stop loss above. I tried to react for a bit, and this is when I also got stopped out on EU, got stopped out. And then you can see on the lower push, we again broke structure, we again broke demand. So I was like, okay, maybe right now it's gonna go with the overall trend. So I took another trade, stop loss was above. It went in, then as it started going down, no, I'm not sure, but I cut 50% of my position, exactly right there. And then the remaining hit stop loss. So I reduced my loss, but again, definitely could have been avoided. And also disclaimer, I don't utilize my full risk yet on GU because I'm still getting comfortable with it, being completely honest with it, and still learning how to trade this volatile boy. And yeah, then we went into to retest an area, and then we have all of this great stuff. So this was GU. Hopefully you guys learned something from it. And as I have my screen actually on my other side, is exactly that concept that I introduced to you right now. When you have a break of a low, right, have a look. So we just took out the low, right, and we're immediately initiating a pullback, right? So again, a lot of people that were buying have their stop losses below, and a lot of people are going to sell just below this level, so they are right now running into deep drawdown, right? So took out the low, immediately initiating a pullback, okay? So there is this thing happening live. So man, I speak too much, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments if you would like to see more. Let me know how is your week going. Did you manage to catch any of those trades that I shared? Did you get some nice returns as well in this volatile markets? What do you think? Where do you think the markets are going next? What is your outlook on the dollar? I always love reading all of your ideas and thoughts. So let me know down in the comments. And yeah, see you on Saturday for the weekly outlook and setups.